My name is Dr. Chris Meadows. I'm owner of Roc Doc Chiropractic here on the Heavy Mental Breakdown. We're going to dive into the depths of heavy metal and mental breakdowns.
Good. That was good. Rock Doc, welcome to the show, man. I
Yeah,
have
thank you,
I am
brother.
excited to finally have you on. It's a funny thing, like this whole Zoom world and talking to people on the other states and the other side of the world. Sometimes
Yeah,
things
it's
just
crazy.
happen and it's wild.
Yeah, I'm
It's
glad we're able
wild.
to finally put it together.
Yeah. Yeah. And first off, second, wanted to congratulate you on your daughter that you have coming this year.
Yeah,
That's
congratulations on yours too, man. Like
thank you.
4 days apart.
4 days apart, man. They're going to be
Yeah,
BFFs. I'm calling it
I
now. They're
love
going to
it.
be
I love it.
BFFs.
We gotta get the families together.
Absolutely. Where are you located out of right now?
So I'm in Louisville, Kentucky.
Oh, you're in Kentucky. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So
So how does that work with being in Kentucky? I know on your profile you said you're in 30 plus places. I see you
yeah,
on the
so
road.
that's
So who are you, Chris? What is Rock Doc and what do you do, man?
yeah. So Rock Doc started probably about 9 years ago through my hometown boys in Knocked Loose. Um, Everybody who knows metal knows Knocked Loose. And they're currently on tour with Metallica and all the good stuff. But I went to high school with their previous guitarist Cole Crutchfield, and we're in a green room in California because I went to school out there, and I'm working on the guys and I'm working on their necks. I'm doing a little bit of chiropractic work, some muscle work, and all the other bands were like, "Hey, who are you?" Because it was a shared communal green room. I was like, "Oh, I'm the chiropractor." They're like, "Oh shit, we get one of those?" And I was like, "Sure." So just hopped into kind of treating everybody and working through it. And I was kind of like, "Huh, maybe I can kind of make something of this." So
Yeah.
I started making contacts and connections. I was still working my way through school, so I was just more going to shows to like be present through a few industry contacts and starting to get a little bit more guest list spots, a little bit more connections, and then COVID hit. Of course,
Mm,
shut down the music industry for a year, and when things
yeah.
came back for a year, it was non-essential personnel backstage at all. And
Mm.
and then September of 2022, it just so happened where I worked 3 shows in a weekend, just through different contacts that I had. I worked Suicide Boys and Knocked Loose on Friday night in Indianapolis. I worked Miss May on Incurrence Saturday night in Chicago. Worked my way back down for the Trinity of Terror tour. Um, yeah, Black Veil Brides, Motionless in White, Ice Nine Kills. We came as Romans,
Yeah.
and
Oh shit,
I
man.
I did 3 shows in that weekend,
Yeah.
and I was like ready to hit the ground running
Hell
because it's
yeah.
I've listened to these bands for forever. I've seen them in concert, since 2011, 2010, and now to be able to like work with them and meet them and shake their hands and watch them on
Yeah.
stage, like it was just
Wild.
incredible. So
Yeah.
that first last half of that year, I worked like 5 shows. Wasn't a lot. My son was born November 2022, so I didn't do a lot to start 2023, but I ended up with 48 shows that I worked in
Wow.
2023.
Wow.
Um,
And
on
that's
top
all
of
throughout the country, huh? That's not just like in one place. You're going all over.
Yeah, so it's mainly around where I'm at, like
Okay.
Louisville, Cincinnati, Indianapolis, Columbus, Nashville, Chicago, that kind of thing.
Oh, okay.
Um, the traveling really started up maybe like the next year, going out to California, going to Dallas, going up to New York, that kind of thing. Um, so, and I'm doing this all while I'm working 5 days a week in an office with a child at home. Um, which was pretty crazy. So I worked 48 shows in 2023, 54 shows in 2024, and completely burnt myself out because I was saying yes to absolutely everything. So
Yeah.
in 2024, I added
I know the
another,
feeling, man. I know the feeling. You're like you feel
yeah,
good. You just want to keep the momentum up. You're like, if I stop doing this, the
yeah,
momentum's gonna die. Like I gotta keep going.
exactly, yeah. So
I
actually, end
get
of
it.
2023, I added in a stretch therapist in Phoenix, who is still my top guy. He works a ton of shows for me. And then 2024, people started, who I went to chiropractic school with and around, just kind of started hearing what I was doing. They're like, man, I want to be a part of this. So, I've got now about 24-ish providers all over the country. Um,
Wow. Okay.
Chiropractors, massage therapists, barbers. I have a mental health specialist to send out to shows and keep the music industry healthy, even when I
Amazing.
even when I can't make it. They've all been vetted extensively. I tell everybody, if you see someone wearing this shirt, that's one of my people. That's somebody you can trust. Um,
Dude, I
because
was telling you, if you sell merch or anything, I want to grab one of those
yeah,
and rep
yeah,
you out here in New York, dude.
I've been thinking about it, man. I've been thinking about it, but I just haven't pulled the trigger on the merch yet.
Oh,
But
you're good. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
um, But yeah, so I knew I needed to cut back. So last year, 2025, I only worked 27 shows. I had to really say no to a lot and like, hey, I can't make it to Nashville on a Tuesday, but my Atlanta guys got you on a Wednesday. Or if
Mhm.
not, my Dallas guy can see you on Friday, whatever it might be. Just to try to send more people out to shows just because I couldn't mentally do it. It just broke me. There's one
Yeah.
I think October 2024, there was 24 straight days that I worked.
Mm.
It started like a Sunday through that next week, and then shows on Saturday, Sunday, through the next week in the office, show on Saturday, Sunday.
Wow.
It was a lot. And I took about 100 and something days off in between shows going into 2025. And then I worked with Disturbed, which I worked with them before. And I did a third of my show in 2025 with Disturbed on their 25th anniversary tour.
That's
And
so cool.
dude, it was awesome. And that's what led me into my first international trip with Disturbed and Megadeth in October of last year, which was just, I mean, just absolutely unbelievable that I get to combine everything that I love to do: chiropractic,
Yeah.
travel, music in the mountains. Spent a day and a half in the Swiss Alps. It was just incredible.
That's amazing. I was just in the
So,
Swiss Alps last year. Fucking incredible.
dude, it's
Oh my
such a beautiful
God.
place. I loved it so much.
Ugh.
I went back again in February with Motionless in White.
That's amazing. Did
Yeah,
you do like the train through the Alps by any chance? Or that they have this like 360 window and you can sit and just go throughout the
that's
Alps and
crazy.
just see everything? That's what
No,
I
but
did. It was
it's
nuts.
definitely on my list to do that for sure. But yeah, I took two of my
Um,
buddies with me. We rented a car and we went out. We did some hiking. We saw beautiful lakes, great food. We hit up a beer fest in Germany because we
hell
worked
yeah.
shows in Stuttgart, Germany, and Zurich, Switzerland. So it
Dude,
was just
Oktoberfest is so much fun. You ever been to Oktoberfest in
I
near
haven't
Munich?
no, but we went to the it's called the Stuttgart Beer Festival. There's another name for it, but I'm going to butcher it if I say it, so I'm
No,
not going
you're
to say
gay.
it. I'm not going to say it,
Totally.
but it's the second biggest Oktoberfest celebration in the world, other than in
Wow,
Munich
okay.
itself. So
Cool.
it was very overwhelming, big culture shock when we were there, but God, it was fun.
Yeah. One thing that I have found very kind of fascinating, and one of the main reasons why I wanted to interview you is because I
Yeah,
know just how important physical health is. I have ran 11 marathons, about 10 half marathons, and so I am
amazing.
always my joints are always out of whack, and they have to pull my legs to snap it back in, and
Oh yeah,
the whole thing.
yeah.
So I know how important it is when you are putting a lot of stress on your body and traveling and walking and playing
Oh yeah.
shows and going from airport to airport or whatever. So in
Mhm.
your line of work, the the physical health,
Yeah.
what are you seeing there? Like are people is it kind of different from artist to artist, or like are you kind of seeing like a main thing where it's like, man, all these stars have like lower back pain or like feet pain or anything like that? Like what are you seeing out there?
Dude, it's pretty consistent throughout because you're not only touring. and in a bus that's shaking you around all night long. But especially for the rock and metal artists, which is mainly who I work with, um, they're headbanging on stage. They're doing a lot throughout the day. So you go from basically sitting down most of the day to just like going nuts for an hour, hour and a half on stage every
Yeah.
night. And then you go to back to sitting down on a couch that you're not used to in the green room, to then the bunk and the bus to just shaking all night long. So,
Yeah.
you know, I
Ugh.
actually noticed that most people on tour are a lot more healthy than people who I see in the office because they do have a good stretch routine happening and they
Yeah.
do know um, what to stretch and how to do yoga and meditate and that kind of thing because they know that they have to be able to keep themselves going on the road. Um, because if you have a physical health issue, it really affects your mental health.
I was gonna
Um,
ask that too. Like, what do you see
it
with
really
like
does.
how much the physical affects the mental?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I personally have had three herniated discs in my low back,
Mm,
nerve pain down my leg. I've had a sacroiliac joint strain. I've had a bone that shifted backwards on me in my L5, my low back. And, when you're not feeling good, man, I mean, it just your whole mood comes down. When that pain, that nerve pain's just shooting down your leg, it's all you can do to
yeah.
kind of readjust and stuff like that. And like, I still like readjust pretty frequently just because I have overcompensations and tightness from that nerve, those nerve pain, those herniated discs I used to have.
Hmm.
So
So I didn't know that you also have a mental health advocate or person or with your company. What were you saying that like if you couldn't be there, you send a mental health rep? Like what is it like
mainly,
what do you mean there?
well, mainly it's chiropractors and massage therapists who I send out. But I have talked to a mental health specialist out of the Northeast. His name is Daniel. And I basically got him on tap or on call just in case I run into somebody out on the road who needs a mental health specialist or needs someone to talk to. I
Mm,
haven't yet connected him with anybody, but he's there just in case I need him. Because it is tough going out on the road.
yeah.
I flew out to the UK and to Europe in February and hopped on the bus with Motionless for one of the show or for three of the shows in Scotland and England. And I worked the first three shows and they had already been out there for a week doing pre-production. And then I flew back 3 weeks later. They're still on the same tour and they still have 8 to 10 days left on that tour before they go home. So
Yeah.
I just, you see a huge difference between the start of the tour when everybody's all excited and then the end of the tour when they're like, oh God, I can't wait to go home. And
Yeah.
you hear a lot out on the road, especially, um, excuse me, when they come in the rooms with me, because it's kind of like the only time that people really get to just like not think about anything for 10 minutes and just kind
Yeah.
of decompress and let their body decompress. And when their body decompresses, their mind starts to decompress. And they're just kind of like, man, I really miss my girlfriend. I really miss my wife. I miss my
Yeah. It
fucking
gets so
bed.
hard,
Yeah.
dude.
Miss my own bed, that kind of
Yeah.
thing. So, and I hear stories about people that are like, especially crew members, because they'll bounce from tour to tour, band to band, and
Hmm.
they're like, "Yeah, I literally finished one tour. I slept the night at a hotel, and I flew to Europe the next day. Started another tour. Yeah, I was home for 5 days. Didn't even unpack my bags. Just wash the clothes I needed to wash, throw them back in there, fly back out. You're gone for another 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Um, I've got a guy that I know in the industry who's gone maybe 9.5 months out of one of the last years or two.
Yeah.
And, you know, it takes a toll on
It
them
does.
mentally and physically.
Yeah. I was gonna say, like, after every marathon I do, like well, as I'm training for it, I'm like, I'm
Mhm.
never doing this again. Like,
Yeah, right.
this is just so taxing. And then after I run that marathon, I'm like, all right, when's the next one? Um,
Yeah,
it
right. You're
just
looking up
becomes
on your phone, when
addicting.
can I go?
Yeah,
Oh
it
yeah.
becomes addicting, and like that adrenaline rush and not knowing what to
Hmm.
expect in the first hour or the fourth hour, and it's just like, oh, it's so addicting. Do
Yeah.
you see that kind of mindset when it comes to touring at all by any chance? Where people are like, yeah, I can't wait to get home, and then they get home for like a week, and you're like, oh man, now I'm going crazy. Like now I need to get back on the
Oh
road.
yeah. Oh, absolutely. I see that mindset all the time.
Like
As
once their
much
body
as
kind of heals, they get some massage
yeah.
therapy, they see you. It's like, okay, I feel good. I've seen my wife, I've seen my kid, I've had some
Hmm.
good food. Time to go back on the road.
Now it's time to go back. Yeah. And even for me too, even though I'm going out a night or two at a time or like a long weekend at a time, like I haven't really worked a lot of shows the last couple of months just because I've already worked 17 shows this year and I'm doing a lot with Motionless in White throughout the rest of
Wow.
the year. So I've just been
So
like
cool.
just kind of chilling and not doing a lot of shows, but I'm definitely itching to get
Yeah.
back out there.
Yeah.
I mean, my last Europe trip, I slept 12 hours and 4 nights, and it wore me the hell out. But like a couple weeks later, I'm just like, "Ooh, when's my next one?"
Yeah. Exactly.
So,
So when it comes to longevity of bands, yeah, when you're young and like in your early 20s and you're like touring, doing warp tours and stuff like that, like it's all so
mhm,
fun and you're like, no, I got this, like I'm good, I'm not hurting. But like as bands kind of start to get older, like for example,
yeah,
guys like Metallica, or I saw you were working with M Shadow, so guy, like Avenged Sevenfold, like people who have been doing this for
hmm,
so long when
yeah,
it comes to the toll on their body at this point. Like I saw
hmm,
you, yeah, yeah, yeah. So with Matt and Alex Terrible. So like yeah, so just when it comes to like yeah, when you start to get a little bit older, like what does that wear and
hmm.
tear do on your body, and is there a way to kind of fight that?
The best thing to do is start stretching and taking care of yourself early, because as life goes on, everything that happens to you has a compounding effect on your body. And if someone takes care of themselves, and I see it all the time in the office, I probably treat 160 to 180 patients a week in the office.
Wow.
I take a lot of x-rays and stuff like that. And there is a huge difference between a 70-year-old who has taken care of themselves, who has stretched, who has eaten healthy, who has drank a lot of water, and between a 70-year-old who maybe is more sedentary lifestyle and not good health, maybe a smoker, first time to chiropractor, whatever it might be. Everyone will always degenerate as you grow older. However,
Yeah.
you take care of yourself, the degeneration is going to be mild. The spacing for your discs, for your nerves to exit out of the spine is still going to be intact, as opposed to someone who doesn't take care of themselves, where the degeneration is going to be severe, the stenosis is going to be severe, and stuff that you just really can't reverse, or it's going to take a long time to reverse.
Mm.
So the best thing someone can do, especially when they're out on the road, is make sure you got a really good stretch routine. Make sure that when um, it does come up where one of my rock docs or me can come out, like take advantage of that. Even if you don't want to get cracked and popped, traditional chiropractic care, let me do some stretch therapy on you, say, hey, my
Yeah.
neck hurts, and let me run the massage gun through that neck. Like, I don't have to crack anybody to help them feel better. It can be
Right,
just
right.
purely muscle work to work through a little bit of that tension, because if the tension is there, it's going to have a compounding effect because the muscles will attach to the bones. If the muscles are tight, they'll pull on those bones, creating misalignments or rotations in the bones. When that happens, the bones don't move very well. The discs are a little bit um, compressed. There's inflammation in the area because the body's trying to protect that area of lack of movement. And then if the nerve gets pinched and you've got tingling into your finger or pain shooting, like almost like you're shooting lightning bolts out of your finger is what it feels like. And you're like, what the
Yeah.
heck's happening? But
Yeah, that's
maybe it was
rough.
just a muscle that was here, chronically pulling on that bone, chronically causing some inflammation and tension. And then one day you check your blind spot and you're like, ow, what the heck? Um,
Yeah.
and that's how a lot of pain happens. It's year after year, month after month of just little micro traumas, a little bit of misuse and abuse, and then one day it's like, nope, we've had enough. It spasms,
Yeah.
um, herniates a disc. I see people all the time that are like, man, I bent over to tie my shoes and I herniated a disc in my low back. I felt a pop and there it goes. Like, okay, well, it
Mm,
wasn't you bending over to tie your shoes that did that.
yeah.
It's several years
Right,
of,
right, right.
oh, I've been to a chiropractor in 6 years. Oh, okay. Well, let's start the process and get you healed.
Yeah. So what about so kind of going back to that original question. So
Mhm.
when you have guys who have been doing this forever and let's just say for example they haven't had the best stretch routine.
Yeah,
Because a lot of young guys who are traveling aren't really,
they're
paying
not
attention to
necessarily
that kind of
thinking about
stuff
that. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
necessarily. So, so there's definitely a difference from like the younger artists that you do and maybe some
Mhm.
of the older artists. How do you see artists who are have that longevity but are like now at a place where they're like, okay, we're getting older, our bodies are hurting. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like, I don't know how much longer I can physically be going through touring. So,
Yeah.
with that aspect of it and with that mental health aspect, you're like, man, like my back is killing me, my legs are killing me, but I want to get
Mhm.
back on tour, but now I can't. I'm depressed. I can't do it. What's
Yeah.
kind of that mental and physical relationship as the band, as an artist, or just as a person with joints and pains, like when you're at that age? Is it kind of already too late? Or,
No,
is
definitely
stretching and
not.
all these things always something that you can bounce back from?
Yeah, it's never too late. Um, like the 3 Days Grace song, it's never too late. But you
That
can
song makes me
always,
so sad.
oh, I know.
Ugh,
You can always start today and work through pain. A lot of people will feel like they've got pain and that there's no getting rid of it.
right,
And as
right.
you're going through pain, that is your mindset because I've been through it before. Like I said, I herniated 3 discs in my low back. I've healed those through chiropractic care, no drugs, no surgery, no nothing like that, in probably about 3 months. It took almost 2 years for the nerve pain to go away.
Wow.
It went
Yeah.
from constant to less constant to when I'd have, a hard day at work or when I did a workout I wasn't quite ready for. And you just think that it's never going away. And like, well, this is my life. I'm going to have to deal with
Right.
this for the rest of my life. And then
Right.
one day, gone. And
Yeah.
it's that
Yeah.
process of putting in the work today to see results in the future. And when it comes to the body and healing yourself or making goals, it starts today and you got to be consistent throughout time. I tell everybody
Hmm.
here in the
Hmm.
office if you have a goal of wanting to lose 10 pounds, you can do a water diet and sit in the sauna and sweat it away, AKA do a steroid pack or injection or um, not really addressing the issue. And yeah, your pain's going to go away. But as soon as you get off that injection or that steroid pack wears away, or you start eating solid food again, that those 10 pounds are going to come right back. Or what you can do
Right.
is put together a 3 month plan of good diet, good exercise, less sugar, whatever it is. And when you lose those 10 pounds stay off as opposed to come back. Same when it comes to healing the body. You're
Hmm.
not really going to notice a difference day one, two, three, week two, three, four, when you start stretching, when you start seeing, you know, before you start seeing results. But 3 months later, you're going to be like, wow, I really feel a lot better. I was able to get through that set and my back didn't lock up and I didn't have to lay on the floor afterwards with my legs
Yeah.
up on the couch. Um, so it's never too late to
Good.
start.
Yeah.
You can always do something about your pain. It's just, it might take a little bit longer when you're in your late 30s and early 40s than it is when you're in your 20s.
Yeah, for sure. But it's never too late. I love that.
Never too late.
Love
Yeah.
it. So when I ran to your page, I was just like, wow, this is really fucking cool. And
Thank you.
I've never heard of like this being like a business or a job. How
Yeah.
common is it in this industry to have somebody like you in your company to be like, yeah, we go to rock shows and we massage rock stars and I travel with them and we have
Yeah.
Roc Doc. and they bring us like who else is doing this?
So when I first started it, there was nobody else that I knew of that was doing chiropractic care.
Yeah.
Um, Especially in the smaller venues, the mid-sized venues, anything below arenas, nobody had anybody. Arenas, of course, those people would come out and have massage therapists, because there's a couple of companies out there that do massage therapy, but usually that's about an hour ish, and you're massaging the band members or like a production manager or tour manager or something like that. You're not necessarily offering to the rest of the crew. um,
Mm.
and when I come out, I'll work any size show, of course. My bread and butter has become those arena shows because that's where my contacts have been. But really, like, I've built this business on smaller venue shows and getting down in the nitty gritty of it in a shared green room where my table's there and there's 20 people around watching what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just got to do that to help those people there who, they don't have access to that because the money might not necessarily be there for a bigger company. I mainly work off of tips only, just because
Mm.
I would rather be there first for the bands that need me and make $200 or $100 or $800 or 500, whatever it is. I'm not necessarily, that's not my primary source of income, so I don't really care what I make. All I care about is treating the people that need to be treated that night. um,
Mm.
Sometimes
Wow.
if I do travel, I'll ask for a guarantee or something like that, but it's very rare. Usually I go into a show night and I have absolutely no idea what I'm going to make that night. But I know that people are going to come see me, and whether they give me $10 or $40 or, hey, I don't have anything, but I can get you a t-shirt. Do you want a sandwich? Sure, whatever.
Sure.
Sometimes
That's
it
cool.
comes down to that. I had someone pay me in like a case of beer once, and I was like, sure, this is fine.
Yeah.
Case of White Claws.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah,
So
I'll drink these I'll drink these side stage while I'm watching one of my favorite bands rock out on
that's
stage.
that's exactly what I did. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
no, that's cool.
exactly what
I
I did.
love that you said, I caught on to the word when you said the bands who need me. And the reason why I
Yeah,
want to bring that back up again is the need part.
yeah,
I think having someone like you is crucial, man. And everything
yeah.
that you just said about like finances and like, like I'll get paid, in beers or something like that. It just shows that like you love doing this. You love the music. You like being there for the artist. You care about the physical
Hmm.
health and the mental health. Um,
Yeah.
what made you have this mindset? Because I know it's probably not an easy thing, especially in like the music industry where you're just like so cool and laid back and for like for me, like something really
Hmm.
awful happened to me to be able to be at a place where I can kind of think these ways now. Or so I'm
Yeah,
not I'm not asking to dive into any of that kind of
of
stuff, but
course.
like what made you want to just be this guy and do it?
Yeah. Well, music has saved my life. Absolutely. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it,
Yeah.
especially Motionless in White,
Mm.
and a couple other bands like that. But, I went through a real deep, dark period in life where, you deal with depression, you deal with anxiety, you deal with like suicidal thoughts and like not wanting to live through the night.
Yeah.
And, the only thing that would pull me out of that would be music and
That's my story.
be
Yeah.
the heavy music, like,
Yeah.
um, Headache by Motionless in White. Some nights was on repeat, or I'm just, screaming in my car the lyrics of
Mm.
sometimes I just want to slit a motherfucker's throat. And,
Yeah.
sometimes you feel that. So,
Yeah.
how are you going to get out of your head and into something that is, music is its own language. It speaks to somebody, completely different. Somebody might
Yeah.
listen to that song and it's like, what the fuck is this? And I listen to that song and it's my inner peace. Because
Yeah.
I listen
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
song and I hear Chris screaming those lyrics and I get done. I'm just like, okay, It
Yeah.
calmed my anxiety down. It brought me out of this head spinning, racing kind of thing.
Yeah.
So the first time I saw Motionless in White was 2011 Warped Tour. And then I saw them
Oh yeah.
November 28th, 2012 in 2012. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. No, you're good. You're good.
So
I
in the
didn't even catch
basement,
that. That's funny.
yeah,
Okay.
I said it and I knew something was off. I was like, that didn't sound right. I saw them in front of like 200 people in the basement of a bowling alley,
Sick.
with like, a foot tall stage. And it was their first headlining tour ever supporting the Creatures album. And I got a
That's
video of
awesome.
Chris coming around screaming into my camera. And I've showed him that video now.
Cool.
Him and I have become friends. I travel the world with Motionless in White now, which is awesome.
That's
And
amazing, man.
I've been able to tell him just like not only that his music has helped me through some of these darkest nights, but what songs and what lyrics that's like, dude,
Yeah.
when my grandma died and I was about to board the plane to go visit her for the week and she died suddenly,
Mm.
like, you have no idea how much this song and this lyric like meant to me to just get me through that moment and get me through those days, to pull me out of my head and those demons screaming at me, to pull me through that. And that's kind of why I want to offer my services to artists, who are living their life on the road, changing people's lives and giving them an experience to, live music was what pulled me out. Um, Music is what pulled me out, but really going into shows and going into those mosh pits and being front row for Avenged Sevenfold, like that's what really pulled me out of those darkest moments. I've been
Yeah.
to maybe 290 shows in my lifetime. Um, I've worked 152 shows, and it's addicting because it's what
Yeah.
pulls you out of that spaces. So
Yeah.
if I'm able to help a band continue to do that, because there might be 1,000 people in that venue listening to their song, listening to their music, and there's 1,000 different stories of why people were there that night.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe someone is on their last leg and they're just like, fuck it, I'm going to go to this show rather than, you know, pick up a bottle or, whatever it might be. And then that's
Yeah.
that show is what gets them through. So if I can kind of help that artist continue to do that for as long as they want to, at the highest of their abilities to be able to do that, then I'm happy to be there to do that.
Mm. There's a lot of what you just said that I
That's a
that
lot,
like
I
gave me
know.
goosebumps and stuff.
Yeah,
But it's crazy because one of my biggest regrets in my entire life was the night that like I attempted. I had a ticket to a concert that night, and I
yeah,
always think I'm like, fuck, like what if I would have just went to that show?
yeah,
How different will my life be right now?
yeah,
The one decision of like, and that's why I bought the ticket. I'm like, okay, I'm going to buy a ticket. I'm going to spend the money. It's
yeah,
going to be a little bit of a journey out there, but like, this is what's going to keep me. I'm like, okay, I have this coming up. Let's at least just get through this.
yeah,
And I was just too weak, man. My brain
yeah,
wasn't there, my mind wasn't there, and I gave up that night. But
yeah,
when I came out of it, when I got out of the hospital and everything, I was just like, snuff, Corey Taylor. Saved
yeah,
me. That song saved my
mm,
life, dude, because I was going through a really bad divorce during that time.
yeah, yeah,
And that song is about a relationship and, just not, it not being what you thought it was going to be. And
yeah.
that song saved me, dude.
I love it.
And
Yeah.
so when you say, metal saved your life and you do this, it's almost just like paying it back. You're like, metal has done this for my life. And so the least I
Mhm.
can do is pay it back in some way.
Yeah.
And that's my exact thought too. Like this podcast wouldn't exist if that didn't happen.
It's
And I'm
crazy.
like, okay, all these artists need to know like how much their lyrics actually mean to people.
Yeah,
Like
definitely.
so like because like my standard interview is I bring a band on and we choose a song and we listen to it and we break down the
Hmm.
lyrics and I'm like, what
So
did you
cool.
mean when you were going through this? Like this was written
Yeah,
4 years ago. So like reflecting on it now, how does it feel?
yeah,
But
yeah,
like I feel like lyrics are underappreciated on a wide scale, which like I don't know. I
yeah.
don't know. A lot of people are, paying attention to guitar solos and screams and growls, but I'm like, no, what
Hmm.
is he saying?
Yeah. Oh
And
yeah.
so for me, this is kind of my way to pay back too. I'm like, okay, people need to understand just how emotional, in the best way,
Hmm.
and vulnerable, like these scary dudes are. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh yeah. They're the best dudes on the
They're the
planet. They're the
best
nicest
people.
guys. They're the nicest
Yeah.
guys on the
And
planet.
metal
Yeah.
gets such a bad rep for those kind of reasons. And I'm like, no, like let's bring on people like
Yeah.
yourself and Jay and all these people and let's talk about mental health. Like we're all just human. We all go
Of
through it.
course. Yeah. And
Wild, man.
the reason that, these songs exist and you feel like they're written for you is because we all go through the same shit. We all have things happen in life that gets us down, that causes us anxiety, that goes through breakups, that brings on depression. You're not alone.
Yeah.
You're not alone. And when you hear a song, you're like, oh my God, that was written for me. Well,
Yeah.
it's because that artist probably went through something exactly like you're going through right now a couple of years ago. And they wrote a song about it, and they recorded it, and they released it to a world of people who are all going through a lot of the same stuff.
Yeah.
So how many people out there can say that, like, the same song that saved me also saved them and pulled them out of their head and their deepest, darkest moments.
Yeah.
Um, so it's really cool to be able to then, like, for me, sit down with Chris and have those conversations with him and just deep dive into it. Just me and him in a room together with the door
Dude, that's
closed.
nuts. Like Corey Taylor is who made like that song and him is who inspired me to even do this. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
I've been thinking about it. I'm like, I don't even think I'd be able to talk to him. Like, I think if I'm able to have a conversation with Corey about what he's done for me, I don't know if I can get through
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Right.
So the fact that like you're hanging out with Chris and just like showing him videos and stuff and telling him, I'm like, I don't even know if I can do that. Like,
Oh,
that's
there have
wild.
been tears for sure.
Sure.
There
Absolutely.
there have been tears for sure when when him and I get down to the nitty gritty of it all, and just talk about, like, dude, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
For
Yeah.
sure.
It means so much to them too.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely
Yeah.
it does. So
I actually, so one more thing I wanted to say, and then I have one final question for you.
awesome.
You were talking about how Motionless got you through the death of your grandmother. And I have a very kind of similar story. Like when my grandmother passed, the self-titled White album of Avenged Sevenfold came out.
Yeah,
And after that came out is when I got my first tattoo. So I have like a huge death bat on my back. I'm just like, but
nice.
that album got me through the death of my grandmother. It
Yeah.
really did. Like the song Dear God. Oh
Hmm.
my God. Yeah, there's just certain songs I'm just, oh, you got me through it. But I
Oh
get it,
yeah.
man. It's just like the biggest things in life sometimes can just be you can just listen to a song and it'll help you. It's weird. The
Yeah.
power of music, man.
And
And that's
music
why
is
we
its
do
own
this.
language.
It
Yeah.
is. It is.
Yeah.
So what's the future of Rock Doc? I know, you've been doing this for a couple years now and you went through a little burnout yourself, but
Yeah.
you have a kid on the way, you already have kids. Like what is the future for Rock Doc and how far do you want to take it? Where do you hope it goes? Or are you just hanging out doing your thing?
I think I'm just kind of hanging out and doing my thing, man.
Yeah.
As of right now, I'm not looking to necessarily expand my side of it because I am so busy in the office here in Louisville, that I do now have to be very picky and choosy about the shows that I go to. So, like, for me, I will always travel around the world and take days off from Motionless in White. And for a few certain bands that have become really good friends, have always treated me well. But that's why I kind of built that um, that plethora of people around the country, and there's even different companies out there too, like Backline Cairo in Columbus, and the Metal Cairo up in her and her husband up in New York City. Where
Mm.
even if one of my rock docs can't come out, I can still hit up my people in a different company in Columbus or in New York City where
You're
they
all helping
can.
each other out. We're all trying to do the same
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, because we're not necessarily competition so much as in like, hey, I had a band reach out to me and they're in Columbus. I can't make it from Louisville to Columbus. Can you come out tonight and treat them? Yeah, sure, whatever. We're all in it
Yeah.
to help the industry, and I think that's why we continue to work shows, is because it's a very, very, very hard industry to get into and for people to trust you, because
Yeah.
how many people would fucking love to have Chris Motionless's phone number? How
Right.
many people? But when it comes to it, that you're able to help these people and they trust you and you're there for the right reasons, then they trust anyone who you send out, and they trust you to always bring you back out, knowing that you're there and you respect their time and their space and their energy, and respect what's going on side stage, where you're going to stay out of the way, you're going to enjoy the show, but you're going to stay out of the way and let everybody run back and forth and do their work. You're not going to freak out or fangirl when Corey Taylor walks by, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um,
I would
so
fangirl. I would
yeah,
fangirl if I saw him.
yeah. There's a lot of. I was really holding it in the first time I treated David Draymond, um,
Mm.
and it got to the point, like, I've worked with him like nine times, and it's gotten to the point where, again, like, we hop in the room, we shut the door, we spend 45 minutes just talking, you know,
Mm.
going through the treatment, talking about family, talking about life, talking
Yeah.
about, whatever it might be,
And that's how that
and
trust grows. You start talking about real things.
yeah,
Like you're
yeah,
not just in there asking questions about, hey, when's your next album coming out? Or like who inspired like all these like
yeah,
typical questions that a lot of these guys get. You talk about family, you talk about emotions, and it's just like and that's where the trust comes from. Like if you can
yeah,
have a real conversation with somebody who's
yeah,
not like trying to get something out of you, you know,
yeah,
or like then the trust is gonna be there. Just be a good person and like
yeah.
be there for the right
And it
reasons. Like it's
it
weird.
took it took me a while. It took me a while to get there. I was
Sure,
I
sure,
was
sure,
the
sure.
first probably year or so. I was like, holy fuck, I can't believe I'm here. And it took me a while to really get to that place where, like, I could go into a situation with someone who I've listened to their songs for so long and have looked up to for so long, and realize that they're just a human.
Right.
They want you to shake their hand and say hi and
Yeah.
ask them how their day is, just like you would any patient that comes in my office.
Right.
You treat them like a normal human, and then you become friends, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Chris, I know you were just saying that you are a busy man, so I appreciate the hour or so that you've spent with me here, and
Yeah,
I
I got
think
I
what
got
you're
3 minutes. We're good.
okay, okay. So
Yeah,
yeah, I was just gonna say. So I appreciate everything you're doing, man. Like
yeah,
from a athlete runner standpoint, but also a mental health advocate and rock and roll fan. I think this is awesome, dude. And I think the reasons you're doing it are even more beautiful, man. So thank you for doing what you do for the rock
yeah.
community, man. Like I think that's so cool. I think it's
Yeah,
so
man.
cool.
Thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it. Like, I just want to be able to be a voice of health and wellness for the
Yeah,
industry, to make
yeah,
sure that no matter what size band you're in, don't ever be afraid to reach out to the Rock Doc or the Backline or Metal Cairo and get the help that you need to make sure that you can have a long career.
yeah, yeah. Longevity is key in this.
Yeah. Yeah,
Stay healthy,
exactly.
keep your bones healthy.
That's right.
Dude, well, I hopefully I'll see you at a show sometime. I don't know if you're going to be in the New
Yeah.
York area at all in the
Well,
next couple months or so.
if I am, I'll let you know.
Hit me up, brother.
All right, brother.